Wow. They actually showed up. Well, good morning, and let's shut this thing off. Okay, good morning, and welcome to the first ever, maybe hopefully not the last minute, under the radar, ask forgiveness, not permission. Believe me, we didn't ask. Macintosh, cryptography, internet commerce, whatever. I'm amazed, you know, like, my worst fear was I was going to have 5 people here. That's so cool. That's great. Thank you. Well, I think it's time we pop up from under the radar and, you know, commence our attack. I brought my munitions, you know. Okay. I want to say a couple of words about just why we're here, how we got here, and, you know, meaning this conference, and just a few things about the schedule, and then I'm going to pass this on pretty quick. Why we got here? Well, first of all, who am I? I'm VInnie. Yeah, who the hell am I anyways? I'm VInnie Moscaritolo. I work for Developer Tech Support, Mac DTS. I get to answer your email questions in addition to doing all whatever else. Sometimes I'm also known as Bob Hettinga's Samoan attorney. Oh, man. And let me tell you, that's a full-time job. But anyways, why are we here? Well, the thing that primarily concerns me is that, you know, we need to have some tools to build internet commerce stuff on the Macintosh. And you guys know why we're here. You know, it's a pretty small community, the crypto community. But I want to say a couple of things about how we got here. How we got here kind of, that story's sort of intertwined with how I met Bob Hettinga. And let me just wave at Bob for a second, if you can stand up. And Bob's our big man on campus here. Bob walked into my office. I was a Mac developer for 10 years. And I was stationed out in Cambridge, and in comes this guy. We're dragging this guy from New York City who claimed he invented fax on demand. Well, he didn't, and it cost me money and lawyers to prove to him that he didn't. But and it's been costing me money ever since. Yeah. But anyways, he came in and he says he was very excited about all this stuff, and then I guess he had a background with various financial things, but he kept ranting at me about this e-cash stuff and e-dollar stuff and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, sure, Bob, you know, yeah, electronic commerce, you know, I'm busy right now. But, you know, I'm developing a token ring driver. It's going to replace Ethernet. You know, it's this is important stuff. Right? Well, anyways, got sick and tired of working for myself. I guess my boss was a real jerk, and I ended up working for Apple. We had a CyberDog kitchen last December, and I managed to convince Apple that Bob's writings were worth listening to, and he did a talk called Financial Cryptography for Dogs. Went over really well, considering I think I actually did a copyright violation with our logo that we used, but that's not too important. Anyways, it went over really well. I noticed that there were a lot of people there who were very interested in doing commerce. I went to the RSA conference a little while afterwards, and I noticed I didn't see a hell of a lot of Macintosh stuff there. You know, that kind of surprised me because, you know, Macs have been around and had crypto stuff in them for a long time. Some of you might remember that we had this product called At Your Service. I think it was codenamed At Your Service, Power Talk, or DigiSign. Well, I'm going to prove it. I actually have a T-shirt here from when I was an At Your Service developer, and it's a cowboy. He's got arrows in his back. It says At Your Service Pioneer on it. Well, okay, that's history. But we had crypto in it, you know, we actually started this pretty early. I realized we needed our own show. You know, people were kind of ignoring us. I started this mailing list in last March on Thumper, which is this machine I keep off campus. And the mailing list was a Mac crypto list. We were going to talk about starting a conference. And we planned to do it at WWDC. Then Apple reorged. I said, okay, that's fine. We'll do it after WWDC. Turned out all the conference facilities were filled with this thing called Copeland. And so, well, here it is. We were pretty determined, though. We said, you know, we need to have a crypto foundation to do the financial cryptography for internet commerce. And in fact, how we got internet commerce into this thing and why it's not a crypto conference is real interesting. I was sitting in a coffee house with Timmy Dirks, and he came up to me and he said, you know, hey, you're not going to get anybody to come to this crypto conference. You know, crypto's like numbers and stuff, and people who wear black hats, and no one's gonna show. He said, we need a subversive attitude to suck them unknowingly into our web. So he said, why don't we call it the Internet Commerce Conference? And anyways, his point was that the net was kind of his primary vehicle for doing crypto. It was kind of an uphill fight. Yeah, all right. So it's kind of amazing I learned a big lesson about having to do a conference. It's bizarre. There's a lot of bureaucracy to fight. There weren't any budget problems. We didn't have any budget at the time, so no problems. I guess no money. There's some politics we had to deal with. Pissed off a few people. That's fine. And then all of a sudden, I started getting support. And I got to thank Jose because he came out of nowhere and helped us out. It was amazing. We got some flack from people too. I think I had posted on Cypherpunks about this, and I had yet another unnamed Cypherpunk telling me that Apple doesn't matter. We should roll over and die. Who cares about crypto? But stuff started taking off. I got a lot of support from people. I actually had somebody offer to buy the conference. Pretty amazing, huh? And out of nowhere, our keynote here, Phil Zimmermann, showed up. I was like, whoa, he believed us. Okay, so let me just say a couple of things about our schedule, and I want to say thanks to a few people here. We're going to have some pretty interesting speakers here. One of the things that I find, we'll have a couple of introduction stuff. We'll have some technical things. There'll be a lot of places for you to give feedback to Apple people and give it to them. If you think that what they're proposing is garbage, let them know. Let us know. We need to know that stuff. And we'll have some, think of it like Mac Hack. A little bit will be a little off the wall, a little bit be pretty good. And I guess the only other thing I want to do is say thanks to some of the people that helped me out here. I really want to say, first of all, I want to say thanks to Beth Reed for totally dealing with all this and taking care of us here. The lady checked us in. I want to say thanks to Cynthia Swirling for doing the artwork and various other things and putting up with me. Say thanks to Jose and everybody else that helped. And I just want to drag Bob up on the stage for about a minute or two and let him just rant for a second. Then I'll throw it over to Phil. Actually, the best thing I've seen was there was somebody gave a talk and they were using a football as a microphone and they were passing the mic back and forth. I guess that's an idea. All right, Bob, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. Ranting in for a second, of course, is impossible. So what I'm going to do instead is introduce Phil Zimmermann, who will rant for more than a second. I had a weird thing happen. Too many mics. Hold on. Power. Kill this one. No, it's off already. The mic's too hot. So I met Phil at breakfast at the Computer Freedom and Privacy Conference this year. And I was so floored that I bought breakfast. Yeah, Dave Del Tordo does these weird things where he sort of drags you in with a whole bunch of people that are famous and sits you down with them at breakfast, and then you buy everybody's breakfast. And that's what happened to me. There was Matt Blaze and Simpson Garfinkel and Phil and other people. It was great fun. Anyway, so everybody knows who Phil is, and I was saying, VInnie, we got to have some cheese. We need some big cheese to be our keynote speaker, and we were talking about Guy, and we were talking about Larry, and we were, talking about all these other people, and all of a sudden, Phil, somebody from PGP Inc. says, well, we can bring Phil. That's cheese. So, without further ado, the man who should be in jail or would have been in jail but isn't, or the guy who got us all here, or something, Phil Zimmermann.
This is the first time I've been called cheese, I have to say. Not sure how I feel about that. I'm traveling and living out of a suitcase a lot, so I've only got blue jeans and this suit in my suitcase, and so somebody said I had to give a talk here, and And I said, well, what kind of talk? And they said, well, the keynote. And I said, what? Oh, I better wear a suit. And I can see that I overdress, so should have gone with the blue jeans, you know. One thing that caught my eye when somebody showed me something yesterday was that that slide that said, under the radar, ask forgiveness but not permission. And I thought, wow, that's great. That's what I do, you know. Under the radar. You know, that's part of the reason why I called it pretty good privacy, because I thought that would be kind of understated and they wouldn't notice it. And when they start exploding over the target, you don't worry anymore about being under the radar. And so I guess they probably caught on that it's more than pretty good. You know, whenever I give a talk, I always worry about repeating myself, because I do a lot of repeating myself because there's only so many messages about cryptography. And so, you know, some of you may have already heard this. In fact, probably all of you, if you actually have been already pre-selected and pre-filtered to be in this room about this conference, then you probably already have heard a lot of this stuff. So I apologize for repeating myself, but I've kind of run out of things to say, I guess. What I want to say is that there's a reason for doing this. And that reason is that this technology of computers and the internet and the information age is carrying us sort of blindly toward a future where we have no privacy left. And we have to do something about that. In a bygone era where most conversations were face-to-face, we had privacy. We had better privacy than anything we have today. And where we sent postal mail in envelopes. I mean, I occasionally, rarely, once in a while still do that. And mostly that's private. But when we send email, it's like talking over a cell phone. So you don't know who's going to intercept it. And so we need cryptography to give us back the envelopes. We need cryptography if we're going to talk over even a phone line, but most especially over internet telephony channels. So if we don't do that, then a good government could be tempted to go bad. If the government finds itself in a sort of embarrassment of riches of windfall signals intelligence, where it can monitor all of the movements of the population and especially all the movements of any political opposition. Perhaps we'll have another unpopular war someday, or there'll be some kind of political movement that is opposed to whatever the current government is doing. If that government can monitor all of the transactions and the travel and the communications and everything about its political opposition, then it would be in a position to hold on to power and neutralize that opposition. And so in trying to protect democracy and a functioning democracy in the information age, we need to have cryptography. We need to have cryptography to protect our personal privacy, even without the political context of political movements trying to operate effectively with an incumbency that can see what they're doing. So don't put in backdoors. Don't put in 40-bit keys. Don't do cryptography that is compromised. I'm recruiting for my company, and one of the selling points is that we're not going to be doing any 40-bit commodities jurisdiction requests. We don't. Our CEO Tom Stedding has a sign on his wall, which is a quote from me, which is, "We don't do no freaking weak crypto." Well, that's not what I said. I didn't.
You didn't say free.
That's right. So we are struggling with the concept of how to deal with corporate encrypted files, like when employees leave the company, how do you get at those files later on? And that's actually a pretty hard problem. But we're certainly, it's certainly an open and shut case for not putting any backdoors in communications. not archival storage, but communications. And PGP phone is an example of that. There will never be any backdoors in that. And actually, I don't think there's going to be any backdoors in PGP either. How many of you have seen PGP phone? Wow, this is not a randomly selected audience from the population. The guy who wrote PGP phone is here. That's Will Price, who now works for PGP, and so we're trying to get the smartest people for implementing crypto. It's funny to go from DOS to Macintosh was a hard step for porting PGP. I had nothing to do with the port. There's another guy who ported PGP from DOS to the Mac, and I'm glad he did it, but I had nothing to do with it. And so if you have any compliments about how it was done, you can direct them at him. And if you have any complaints about how it was done, don't direct them at me. But we're going to do our own Mac port now, and Will is going to have a hand in that. And if anybody else here who has any Macintosh programming experience wants to get involved and would like to actually get paid for it, then not if you work for Apple, because I certainly don't want to. I'm glad to be invited to speak here. I wouldn't want to raid Apple, but maybe you might want to moonlight, or maybe you really don't want to work at Apple anymore. But actually, I want people to keep working at Apple if they know how to do crypto, because Apple has got to develop its own crypto capability. And I would hope that would not be just stuff handed to it by RSA Data Security. That's not the only solution. And PGP has become trusted as a source of crypto technology. Over the past 5 years, PGP has become a worldwide de facto standard for email encryption. And it's done this without funding, without any significant resources, with volunteer labor, working out of my house in Boulder, Colorado, winning numerous industry awards along the way, while under criminal investigation. Now, imagine what would be possible with a well-funded company behind it. And, pardon me?
I said it'll sink.
Yeah, well, I hope not. I've done as much as I can with PGP as an individual. I can't take it any further as an individual. If I just keep trying to do it as an individual, then eventually PGP will be replaced by other technologies, and other technologies that are supported by companies. Because corporate America wants software that's supported by companies. I asked people why some companies were interested in S-MIME, and they said, well, because there's a company behind it. And I said, okay, I can work on that one. Now there's a company behind PGP. And we're hiring like crazy. We got an office up on Twin Dolphin Drive. Now the reason why it's on Twin Dolphin Drive in Redwood Shores, or Redwood City, is because Dan Lynch is on our board of directors. And his company, Cybercash, just outgrew its space and moved out of that space, so we kind of subleased it from them. It has nothing to do with any other cryptography companies on Twin Dolphin Drive. Although we may be within potato gun range. Let's see now. Let's see. I never have notes on this. We got the political stuff covered. I got the recruiting plug-in. We're going to have a better PGP for the Mac soon. We're looking for Windows programmers. I know there's none here, but I'm sorry we have to do that too. So if you know any, let them know that we're looking for good Windows programmers. It's By the way, when we did PGP phone for the Mac, it was fairly easy to program. I mean, that's easy for me to say, right? Because I didn't do it, right? I mean, I didn't write the code. I was saying how it ought to be, but I didn't write the code. But then we tried to do it for Windows, and there was all these weird device drivers for umpteen million sound cards, and all kinds of idiosyncrasies of this heterogeneous PC environment. And it was really hard, and so our PC version of PGP phone didn't get out until fairly recently. So I just wanted to point out that I recognize that there's certain things about the Mac that are really much, much better than Windows. And that's what I use. I have with me my computer. I have a 5300, which locks up with hardware problems or something like that. So it's kind of annoying. So you guys should fix that. But on the other hand, it's got everything in one notebook computer. I've got PGP, I've got PGP phone, and I've got this program called CryptDisk, which encrypts the entire device. And hopefully PGP will have a product like that sometime soon. Mostly because we hired the guy who wrote CryptDisk, So so I have all the possible things I want to do with cryptography on my notebook computer. We don't have secure IP yet, but we'll work on that one too. So anyway, another thing I wanted to point out to you folks is that for many years there was a cartel in patents for cryptography, public key partners, and they controlled all the public key patents. And that cartel broke up a year ago. And since that time, it's now possible to use other non-RSA algorithms. And it's not only that, but those patents expire next year. But even if they didn't expire next year, it's real easy to get licenses for them. And we've got a license for them. And we're going to be pushing non-RSA public key algorithms as much as we can. It really increases the flexibility for licensing. The prices are much less because they're free. And for link encryption, for setting up a phone call or IP connection or something like that, Diffie-Hellman is a natural way to go. RSA is not a good fit for that. And for static store and forward kind of things, like things that you typically would use RSA for, you can use a modified version of Diffie-Hellman that works pretty much like RSA. And we're adding those capabilities to PGP, a kind of a static Diffie-Hellman, and DSS, a signature scheme that's every bit as strong as RSA, only without the patent encumbrances. So when you're making design decisions for whatever products you're making, it'd be nice if we could kind of move toward a future where we don't have to live under the patent regime anymore. The patent regime, along with the export regime, are the two most important reasons why cryptography has taken so long to take off. The cartel, the control of all those patents, I think did more to damage the cause of cryptography than the NSA. So we're out of that now. So let's take advantage of that. I mean, you can you can get into a kind of a learned helplessness. I mean, if you have a dog that if you tell him that he can't jump over if he can't go out this gate or else you'll punish him and put him back in, then he'll eventually learn not to try to go out the gate. And even if you unlock the gate or even remove the gate, he might not go out because he's learned that. Well, they've removed the gate. It's now possible to do public key cryptography without having to worry about those damn patents. And so don't stay in there and keep using RSA because you've learned to do that over so many millions of years. It's time to take advantage of the newfound freedom and use the other algorithms. So anyway, that's about all I had to say, and thanks for having me.
Wow, thanks a lot, Phil. Gee, hopefully we'll see a drop-in library for the Mac. It'll be for PGP. Oh, there's one thing I totally forgot to do. I don't know, I just got a kick out of that.